Hello everyone. Sorry I'm not able to be there with you today. Hopefully I am feeling a little bit better and be able to be back with you on Thursday. If you have read the Canvas module, you'll know that I'm asking if you did not take the quadratic test before spring break, please Canvas message me so that I can send you a pass to take your quadratic test during SSRT. So once again, if you did not take the quadratics test on Thursday before spring break, please Canvas message me so that we can get that scheduled. If you can, please make sure that you have out a sheet of paper as well as your yellow packet. Remember, we said we'd be using that yellow packet for a little bit yet, and we are not yet finished with it. So our learning target for today is going to be able to find the vertex of a quadratic function. And you might be thinking, well, we've already done that, and we have in one way, and that was a way that was more based on the graph, being able to visually take and find the x-intercepts and then find the midpoint in between to let us find the vertex. We are now going to look at if we are just given our equation, and that equation in standard form, how do we find the vertex? Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we will always make sure that our equation is set equal to 0. And we know that it could either be set equal to 0 or equal to y, or like we have done here, since this is a function, equal to f of x. Okay, so our first step is to make sure that it is in standard form. So I'll make a little note over here that step 1 is to make sure that it is in standard form. Our second step is that we are going to identify what is our A, what is our B, and what is our C. So making sure that we know those values. The third step is we're going to learn a formula that tells us that the x-coordinate of the vertex is equal to the opposite of the b value divided by 2 times a. And then that will give us the x-coordinate of our vertex. And our fourth step then will be that we will need to substitute x to find y. So those are the 4 steps that we will be using with all of our problems. Now, the reason why I asked you to get out the yellow packet is that we're going to use problems that we've already done by using a graph and that we already know the correct answers to be able to find the vertex using our formula, so that you can see that it doesn't matter if we use the graph or if we use the formula, we're getting the same answer. So please, on your yellow packet, turn to page 8. And you can see that on page 8, we had x squared plus 2x minus 8 as the equation that was given to us. And we actually went through, we found the y-intercept, we know the shape of it is open up, we found the x-intercepts, we know the axis of symmetry, we know the vertex. So right now we're just trying to show you that we can use the formula and very quickly find the vertex without going through all of that other unknowns that we did. Okay, so if we look at this, our A value on this particular problem is 1, our B value is 2, our C value is -8. So our step 1, this was in standard form. So that is our step 1 right here. It's in standard form. Step 2 was we identified our A, B, and our C. If we look at step 3, we're going to use this formula to find the x-coordinate of the vertex. So I'm going to substitute that the x is equal to the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. And so that is going to give me that the x-coordinate of the vertex is -1. Okay, so if I'm looking for my vertex, I just found that the x-coordinate is -1. And now remember that our fourth step, we said to find the y-coordinate, we take And we know that we can place, in place of f of x, we can put y. And then in place of our x in our function, we're going to put in the x value that we know, which is -1. And then we're going to do that arithmetic, either mental math or type that into your calculator. That'd be 1 minus 2 minus 8. That'll give us a -9. And that gives us the y-coordinate of the vertex as -9. So go ahead and look on your yellow packet on page 8. You'll see that we found the vertex to be -1, -9 also. Now, if you're thinking, well, why do we have to do this another way? We're starting off with easier problems here. We will now start to look at a vertex that is not integer numbers. So the vertex might be at -1.45 instead of just a -1. Today, we're just going to start by doing problems that we are practicing using this formula here, with problems that we know the answer to, so we have practice at just getting the procedure correct. Okay? All right, let's go to page 7 in your yellow packet. And this is already in standard form for us, but we do have to identify that the a value is 1, the b value is 4 here, the c value would be 0. There's no constant. And so then I'm going to take and say my x of the vertex is equal to the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. So yes, you will need to know that formula. So I'm going to say the opposite of b, -4, divided by 2 times a. And so the x-coordinate of the vertex is -2. So I'm figuring out the vertex. I now know the x-coordinate is -2. I need to figure out the y-coordinate. So I'm going to take this f of x, I'm going to make it a y. And then in my original equation, I now know that the x value I'm looking at is -2. So I'm going to substitute in -2 for the x. And then I'm going to do that arithmetic. So that is going to give me 4 minus 8. And my y value will be a -4. So go ahead and look at page 7 at the yellow packet and compare what we got by doing the algebraic formula to find the vertex versus what we got when we graphed it. Should be exactly the same thing. All right, let's look at one last example. And this comes from page 6 on your yellow packet. And so the first thing we have to do, it is in standard form, but we need to identify that a is 1. In this particular problem, our b term is missing, so our b value is 0. -9 is actually the c value. So we need to be careful when we are identifying. We know that the a value is here with the x squared. This is the constant. The x term is missing, and that's why the b value is 0. Okay. If we then go, we use our formula. The x value of the vertex is equal to the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. What happens here is that when we go to put in the opposite of b, that's 0. And we know that 0 divided by anything is going to give us 0. And so now we know that the x-coordinate of the vertex is 0. And if we want to find out the y-coordinate of the vertex, we go to our original equation. And in place of x, we're going to put in the x that we know, which is 0. And then do the arithmetic, and our y value would be -9, and that's the y value of our vertex. So now take a look at page 6 and compare what we got on the graph versus what we got using our equation. And make sure that we have exactly the same vertex. All right, if you go to Canvas, you will see that in our module, there is an assignment, and you do not need to print out that assignment. You can just use just a regular sheet of paper, and you are going to first make sure that you identify the A, the B, and the C for each equation. And then you are going to find the vertex. Okay, so remember that. Looking at our steps to find the vertex just one more time in review. We always are going to make sure that it's in quadratic formula. And then you'll use, after you've identified your A, B, and C, then you'll use x is equal to negative b divided by 2a. That'll give you the x coordinate of the vertex. And then you will have to take and substitute the x of vertex back into the original equation to find the y of the vertex. So that is your assignment. You'll see it on Canvas. In addition to that, I would ask that you review any vocabulary on pages 1 and 2 of Yellow Packet. Okay, those are all things that we are going to pick back up with as we continue our quadratics unit. Lastly, just one more time, if you haven't taken your quadratics test before spring break, please Canvas message me.